Hello, this is Ricky from Data Mastery. Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about Databricks. So this is the first video of a series on the Databricks that we are going to record and share with you guys. So in this video, we are just going to talk about what Databricks is. We're going to talk about high-level architecture and some of the core components of Databricks. So the first thing is, what exactly is Databricks? Well, Databricks has some nice documentation, so I really encourage you to go to this documentation and take a look at some of the core components and how Databricks is gonna help you in your organization if you're especially working on ML or AI workflows. But in this video, we're just going to cover the basics. So this is a unified open analytics platform for building, deploying, sharing, all the analytics and AI solutions. So this is what, at a high level, this is what Databricks, looks like. So it consists of several components. At the core of this, the one that you see in the red, this is the core of Databricks, which is specifically for governance, which we call Unity Catalog and unified data. And then you have this entire ecosystem, which is built on top of Open Data Lake and a unified catalog. So you have a business intelligence application, you have data warehousing, you have AI and data science, you have ETL and analytics and orchestration. However, Databricks is not really known for acting as a data warehouse. It is specifically used for ML ops or AI ops operations. So you can, you can train and deploy your models. You can run your ELT stuff, and you can do all these kind of things, but not specifically data warehousing. So let's talk about the architecture of Databricks. So this is the high-level architecture of Databricks. Now, at a high level, it consists of two main components. One is the control plane, and the other is, whatever you deploy in your own cloud, which is your compute plane or classic compute plane. So the control plane is where, when you log into Databricks, you see this application. So that application or the workspace, that is part of your control plane, and that is totally managed by Databricks. Then you have your orchestrations, your pipelines, and your Unity catalog, your serverless compute plane. So that is also part of your Databricks control plane. And then you have a compute plane or a classic compute plane, which allows you to deploy the clusters in your own cloud environment. So if you are running on AWS or Azure, so what you can do is you can integrate your own cloud with Databricks, so that whenever you run your clusters on Databricks, those clusters actually gets deployed in your own cloud account, whatever cloud that you're using. But the serverless compute plane is something which is totally managed by Databricks. So that is not part of your network, that is part of Databricks network. So sometimes you find it hard to integrate serverless compute plane with your network through private link. So one thing to keep in mind is that serverless compute is part of the control plane. It's not part of your cloud account. So this is the high-level architecture of Databricks. When you work with Databricks, you'll hear a lot about Delta. So you hear about Delta lakes, you'll hear about Delta tables, you'll hear about DLTs and all that stuff. So what exactly is Delta in Databricks? So Delta is basically a group of technologies which are branded together as Delta on Databricks. So you have Delta Lake, which is your storage layer, the open source storage layer, and it leverages your cloud storage, whether S3 or Azure Blob. So it sits on top of your cloud storage, whether GCS or S3 or Blob storage. And then you have a Delta table. So this is the open table format. Apache Iceberg is one open table format. Similarly, Delta table is another open table format. The open table formats allows different clients to connect with your database and tables with some standardization in place. So it's not proprietary of any organization. These are the open table formats. So they define some standards, and your clients are gonna connect with your your database and your schemas using that open table format standards. And then you have a DLT, Delta Live Tables. This is specifically for data pipelines that you build in Databricks. So you have Delta tables, which is how the tables are created in Databricks that stores your information. And if you have to create some orchestration, so flow the data between those tables, that is something which is taken care by DLT. So this is part of your data pipelines or orchestration, or whereas the Delta table is the tables which stores your data. So these are like some of the things that comes up too often when you work on Databricks. So it's better to have just a little bit clarity on these concepts. Now, Databricks allows you to have a trial of 14 days, which you can use to just explore the workspace and some of the features that Databricks has to offer. So what you can do is, in order to get the trial, you can go to databricks.com and click on try Databricks, and it will open this sign up page. And on this sign up page, you can have two modes for your trial. One is the Express setup. The Express setup is basically quick. It gives you access to the workspace, but you will only be able to use the serverless compute. If you want to run the clusters in your own account, in your own cloud account like AWS or Azure, then you use the second option, continue with the cloud setup. But for this, you need to have a cloud account as well. So if you want to deploy Databricks or integrate Databricks with AWS, then you need to have AWS account, and then you can use that account and set up your Databricks trial with your existing AWS or Azure cloud account. So I have set up the Express one because I just wanted to go over the functionalities, and it gives me the serverless compute, which is okay just for the POCs. So once you set up this whole thing, you can log into your workspace, and this is how it looks like. So the top is the workspace, workspace is basically the environment. So whatever that you're seeing on your screen, it's the web application running in Databricks control plane. So this is an environment. So that's what's called workspace in Databricks. Then you have couple of other things which probably you don't see here, but the main concepts of Databricks. The one is the Unity catalog, and then you have Metastore, and then you have catalogs and the schemas and the tables and whatnot. So the Unity catalog is the data governance layer. So Unity catalog, there is like only one Unity catalog per account, right? And this is where your permissions, your RBAC, and everything that is part of the Unity catalog. And then you have a Metastore. Metastore is you can say, it contains all the metadata about all the resources that gets deployed in Databricks. And there is only one Metastore per region. And all the data that's basically used by Unity Catalog Metastore, that gets stored into the cloud storage. It could be S3 or Blob or GCS. So think about, you have a cloud storage, and then that is the storage that is basically used by Unity Catalog, and then the Metastore is the top level container in that storage that contains metadata about all the resources that gets created or deployed in Databricks. And after that, you have something called catalogs, and catalogs is where you organize your schemas, your databases and whatnot. So that's kind of the third level component. If you think about this storage hierarchy, the top level is your Metastore, and then comes your catalogs, and then comes your schemas and the databases and tables. So that's how the structure looks like. And all of these, like the data and everything that gets stored to your the cloud storage, whatever the cloud that you're using. So the data gets stored to that particular cloud storage. So again, just to refresh this thing, Unity Catalog is at the account level, and Catalog is kind of the virtual grouping of your schemas and databases within Unity Catalog, and the workspace is your environment. So you have your dev workspace, your test workspace, your prod workspace. So that's basically, you can differentiate it based on the environments that you have. So then we have the workflows. This is where you can define your pipelines and jobs. It basically allows you to orchestrate different jobs. And so there are like two types of, you can say, compute clusters in Databricks. You won't see in the trial account, but in general, one is your interactive clusters, where you basically log into the cluster and run your notebooks. And the other is the clusters which are used by the jobs. So you schedule the job or you trigger a job, and that job also needs a compute to run, right? So those clusters are called compute job clusters. And all the jobs that you see here, it is best practice to use job clusters for the jobs, although you can run jobs on your own, the general purpose cluster as well, but that's not generally recommended. And a job can have multiple tasks, defined inside. So you can have one job that has like multiple tasks, and you can have a dependency on the tasks as well. And here you can define the compute. So this is what I was talking about. So this compute that you see here, this is the compute which is specific for your job. So right now in my trial account, I only have a serverless, but if you're working in the actual Databricks account, you can see, a job compute which are non-serverless basically. So you can define the configurations for your compute cluster, and those are the cluster that you see here. So when you run a job which has the definition for the compute cluster, so a job creates the cluster, runs on the cluster, and then the cluster gets terminated. So that is the best practice, because it allows you to save the money as well, and you need to provision only the required amount of compute. If your job needs bigger cluster, you define similar cluster specs. If needs a lower cluster, then you define a lower spec cluster. So this is how you define your jobs and pipelines. There is something called database asset bundles that is specifically used for all these deployments, which we will talk about those in the upcoming videos. And here's the compute. So right now in the trial account, it shows you only the SQL warehouses, which are serverless. But if you're like using normal Databricks account, you will see other types of compute clusters as well. And then there's a marketplace. Obviously, if you want to install anything from marketplace, then this is available for you. So then you have SQL editors for your SQL queries. You can build some dashboards. There is a AI integrator, which is called Genie in this case. You can define some alerts. There's a query history. Again, this is your compute, which is SQL warehouses, means the SQL. So there is like, even if we talk about like the normal compute clusters, within normal compute clusters, there are again two types of clusters. One is the general purpose interactive, and other are the SQL clusters, which are specifically to run the SQL statements. So I mean, they provide a lot of options in terms of compute. The one thing I noticed is that when I create my cluster and when I have to do something, it takes almost like 10 minutes to boot up the cluster, and then you can basically able to do anything. I mean, the normal clusters which gets deployed in your account, in your cloud account, they are not very quick. Serverless clusters are quick. The only thing is serverless clusters, they do not have access to all of your private services or endpoints. Databricks is improving on that, so there will be eventually more support for that. But as of now, there is a little support, but not everything is can be executed inside the serverless compute. So then, as I showed earlier, you can have your jobs and pipelines, and then you can run the execution history of your jobs here. Then you have like that, for the data ingestion, you have several connectors that Databricks provides out of the box. And you can, again, it is the, again, same jobs and pipelines. And they have a separate section for machine learning where they give some, a playground to just leverage their platform and just understand what are the features that it has to offer. AI Builder, this is in beta, so they probably add some more features into this. And then you have the experiments. You can basically do your model trainings here, which are, which will be shown here as a list of experiments. You can define your features. Again, this is more on the machine learning side. Databricks has several models that it provides out of the box. You can see here, these are all the models provided by Databricks. And then you can also inference these models. So these are the models which are used for serving, which means within the Databricks ecosystem, they give you this these serving endpoints, and you can just use these in your applications and do the inference. Now, one thing which usually doesn't happen, like if you have set up this in your organization and you're using, let's say, OpenAI or Amazon Bedrock, then you need like one place to host all of your foundation models. Now, if you have Databricks and you're hosting some of the models in Databricks, some of the models in Bedrock or OpenAI, that doesn't go well with the overall enterprise architecture. So you need to, if you're working on, your job role is just to have like that type of architecture that you want to design and implement, you need to have a little bit more work to do, like how you take these models. Like, for example, if there are some models which are not available in OpenAI, for example, and those models are available in Databricks, now you cannot have two endpoints for your users. One goes to OpenAI, other goes to Databricks. So you need to have some API gateway in the middle that will be your main point of entry for all of your users and applications. And from there, you can either go to OpenAI or you can go to Databricks hosted models. So, those are kind of more the architecture and design discussions. However, in this video, I just wanted to give you a very quick walkthrough on very, very high level, like 40,000 feet high level architecture. There's like a lot that goes into Databricks, but we will cover all those things in the upcoming videos. But for now, just focus on the high level architecture. Use Databricks for your MLOps and analytics. And what is the control plane, the compute plane, the serverless, the Unity catalog, your Metastore and your catalogs, and then you have jobs and your pipelines. So your compute. So all these are like the basic building blocks of this platform. And in the upcoming videos, we will cover more of these features or the features that Databricks has to offer in detail. And we specifically focus on Databricks asset bundles, which are very, very powerful. That allows you to set up your CI/CD stuff. You can leverage GitHub Actions or any other platform, but Databricks asset bundles, they have their like own configuration, like how you deploy your notebooks or your jobs or your clusters to Databricks. So we're going to talk about that more in the upcoming videos. So thanks for watching this one. I hope it gives you an idea of Databricks as a platform and some of the features that Databricks has to offer. So thanks again for watching this one and stay tuned for more videos. Cheers.